Okay, so hi again, everyone. My name is Fala. Thank you for joining. I'm seeing a couple of people turning on their videos. Okay, so we're going to start now. So today we're going to be talking about quite a number of things, but we're going to be focusing on how to break into cybersecurity with zero tech experience. From my last masterclass, someone did ask a question to say, okay, is it the same information you're going to be sharing this time around? Well, I'm happy to tell you that there's a twist to it this time around. I have some HR experts. I'm going to introduce them very soon. Just trying to see if they're here. I see Yinka. Noel, are you here yet? Okay, I see Noel in. He's muted. Okay. So today we're going to be hearing from cybersecurity experts. We're also going to be hearing from hiring managers slash hiring recruiters on the skill set hiring managers are looking for when they're employing for cybersecurity roles. For those that are joining my masterclass for the first time, I'm just going to give you a quick intro about myself. My name is Fala. A lot of people call me Coach Fala. Why? I don't know, but we'll find out shortly. And I have been in the cyberspace for over 12 years. I am a mentor. I mentor a number of people, and I'm the lead career coach at Winfinite Consulting. So, quick story about me. And if you've joined my information session before, you should already know this by heart. So, I moved to Canada, a couple of years ago as an immigrant. And as we all know, moving to a new country at times can be challenging for different reasons. Now it's even more challenging because of how competitive the job market is, right? So in the last 3 years, I have mentored over 150 individuals into rewarding cybersecurity careers. And these people are people with absolutely no proud tech backgrounds. So people from maybe the law space, accountants, optometrists, different people. And over the years, I've been recognized and nominated for some of the work I do. My qualifications cut across different domains in cybersecurity. Someone asked the question to say, okay, what are my qualifications? So my qualifications range, across cybersecurity domains. I've been around the block, started my career in consulting, moved to telecommunication, and I'm now in a financial institution. So today we're going to talk about a number of things, but basically the meat of the discussion today is how to transition into cybersecurity. Not only how to transition, but how to stand out in today's competitive job market. What are those skills employers are looking for? How do you strategically position yourself to get your dream cyber role? So I'm going to start with a brief intro. I don't want to make assumptions that everybody knows what cybersecurity is. You might or might not know. So I'm just going to do a quick intro about what cybersecurity is. Before I do that, is there anyone here that wants to tell us, in their own words, what is cybersecurity or what does cybersecurity mean to them? Anyone? Everybody is on mute. If you want to unmute, you can actually do that. So anyone wants to tell us in their own words what cybersecurity is? Okay, let's see if maybe one of our speakers will tell us. Hey, I'm going to go to the chat. So I see a number of responses in the chat. Daya says it's the security of information in the cyberspace. So basically your digital space, your networks, your systems, your data. Okay. Prince says it's the protection of data in the internet space. Oh, Bukola says we're unable to unmute. Okay, I'm just going to fix that from my end. Okay, let's try that now. So, Bukola, if you still want to share, you can try to unmute now.
Yes, it works perfectly now. Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect.
So
So,
I was
Bukola,
just
please go
simply,
ahead.
yeah, I was just simply going to say that it's think of security and then just think about it in the tech world or cyberspace. So in a nutshell, that's really what it is.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for sharing. Any
Thank
other person wants to share? We've said a couple of things today. So your cybersecurity is basically the protection of systems, networks, data from cyber threats. And as we all know, the cyber threat landscape is very broad and it keeps going broader by the day. So making sure that you're protecting your systems, your networks, your data from unauthorized access, theft, or malicious activities. And cybersecurity, is a space that keeps getting bigger and broader. Does anybody know why? Why do you think cybersecurity is becoming, more critical by the day? Anyone wants to share?
Because we have a lot of threat actors coming out of the woodworks now.
That's very correct. So not only do you have a lot of threat actors, right? You also have, so many malwares. As we're talking right now, new viruses, new Trojan horses. People are thinking of new ways of bypassing security tools, secure configuration settings. So as a cybersecurity professional, you also want to be a step ahead, right? Thinking, how can you strengthen your organization's systems, networks in such a way that it becomes really difficult for bad actors to exploit vulnerabilities. And of course, with Gen AI, fantastic, Brenda, you have something called emerging technologies, right? Big data, AI, you now have Gen AI, you have cloud computing. So all of the wider or basically, the more organizations leverage technology, to increase their revenue, to make their services readily available to their customers in a friendly way. So the more you leverage technology, what are you doing? You're introducing more cybersecurity risks into your organization. And cybersecurity is something that cuts across, both individuals, organizations, across all industries. So whether in the government, whether private sectors, whether military, anywhere. So that's why it's becoming really, really, really important by the day. So I want everybody to take a second to just imagine. Imagine that some hackers were to hack into maybe the electric grid of the country you live in right now. What do you think the impact would be? It will be massive, right? Loss of lives. Think of people that are in ICU right now that maybe are depending on the life machine to keep them alive, right? People are going to be stuck underground. Maybe if you're taking an underground train and the power cuts off. I mean, the losses, it's going to be catastrophic. Or just think somebody were to hack into maybe the sewage system right now and start leaking, sewage into the ocean. It's going to be terrible. So that is why cybersecurity is a big thing. And that is why this space has numerous job opportunities, and the opportunities are increasing by the day. Right now, there are more opportunities than skilled professionals. So there's an estimated count that by 2025, you're going to have a lot of job opportunities opening up. So we're going to quickly talk about job outlook because this is one question I get practically every day. There's so much buzz going around about cybersecurity. What's the big deal about cybersecurity? Well, aside from the fact that you want to protect your information, ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? You also have the regulatory angle of it. Aside from regulatory, you also have penalties, fines, regulatory requirements you need to comply with. A while back, the CISO for an organization was actually being sued along with that organization by the US SEC. So security is one space that is even becoming more stringent by the day. So let's look at job outlook. We have over 1 million plus by 2020. And with this 1 million plus job opportunities, there are just about 400,000 people ready to take up these job roles. 3.5 million job openings in cybersecurity by 2025. This is the estimate, according to cybersecurity job reports. So how do you want to position yourself to be able to take, advantage of this opportunity? And in terms of projected growth, it's massive. A lot of organizations, are doing a lot of initiatives, kickstarting initiatives to bring in more people, more skill sets into the cybersecurity industry, to make it more diverse. And that's one of the reasons why, I have these information sessions periodically, to empower people to transition into cybersecurity. And also to break all those myths, all those, common myths you hear about the reasons why people cannot transition into cybersecurity. A good example is maybe you do not have any proud tech experience. So they make it seem as if it is impossible. But today, we're going to be busting that myth. So globally, there are a lot of unfilled roles within the cyberspace. So we need you in this space. Another common question that I get all the time is, what is the salary range? Because again, you don't want to start a new profession without knowing what you're getting into. For you to leave one transition to start something new, then there must be something in it for you. It's a common knowledge that cybersecurity is a lucrative field. It's also a field where you have to continuously learn, right? As the threat landscape is evolving, so you also need to keep up by continuously learning. So let's quickly talk about the salary. The average salary is about 116,000. An entry level is a range depending on your country, depending on your industry, depending on the qualifications you have, depending on the value you're bringing to the table. So is it really worth it? Definitely. The numbers speak for itself. What are some of the common reasons why people want to transition? Quite a number of things. We've talked about the high salary. Now let's talk about remote or hybrid roles. For a lot of people, for various reasons, maybe, to take care of your family, or maybe long commutes. For one reason or the other, you prefer remote roles. So the good thing about cybersecurity roles is you do not have to be there in person. You can work remotely. And I think that's one of the benefits for cybersecurity. You can always connect remotely into your systems. And work-life balance. A lot of people want to get into cybersecurity for work-life balance. You want to spend more time with your family. Then you should consider transitioning into the space. Diverse career pathways, globally recognized roles. Unlike some roles like accounting or law, right? When you move maybe from one country to the other, maybe you used to live in Nigeria, you move to Canada or the US as an accountant, then you need to start thinking of CPA. Same with a lawyer. You need to get called to buy your new location. But the good thing about cybersecurity is our qualifications are universal. They are borderless. So whether you have CISSP in Asia or in the US, it's the same thing. Whether you have CISM, whether you have CC, whether you have CEH, whatever cybersecurity qualifications you have are global. So you don't need to bother yourself about, oh, when I get to this new location, then I need to convert it. No, we don't have that issue in cybersecurity, thankfully. Our roles are globally recognized. So with any transferable skills or proud tech experience from any country, from any industry, you can easily move into another industry. So maybe you're coming from aviation, you can easily move to financial institutions. Or maybe you're coming from manufacturing, you can move around, play around. And there are so many career pathways that your job stability is assured. Job security is very high in this space. When you look at the different domains in cybersecurity, from identity and access management to GRC, to vulnerability management, to security governance, to security operations, You can start from one domain and easily move on to another domain. So that's another good thing. And then, of course, we've talked about the shortage of skilled workers. So I want you to leave this session today knowing a couple of reasons why you want to consider this profession. Looking at cybersecurity trends, I'm sure whenever you listen to the news, whether the radio or CNN or Fox News, whatever, you're usually going to hear one cybersecurity incident or the other. So the question now is no longer will an organization have a cybersecurity incident? It's more of when is it going to happen and how quickly is that organization going to be able to respond to that cybersecurity incident? So when you look at the trends, as technology keeps advancing, cybersecurity would only keep becoming more and more crucial. Rise in cybersecurity incidents. So when organizations have cybersecurity incidents, before you know it, they want to revamp their processes. Before you know it, they want to maybe set up new teams to prevent that issue from reoccurring. And organizations lose, not only do they lose revenue, at times they have to pay hefty regulatory fines. So they want to make sure that they put in the right skilled professionals in place, the right tools to help their organization prevent or timely respond to cybersecurity incidents. And then you have regulatory compliance. So you're looking at things like PCI DSS. You're looking at things like ISO 27001, GDPR on data privacy. A lot of organizations, for example, State of California has a regulatory requirement for data privacy. New York has a cybersecurity regulatory requirement for organizations in the financial institution. And for an organization to comply with all of these regulatory requirements, they need to make sure that they have the right skilled people in place. So basically, everything is working, to your advantage when you're in the cyberspace. And the pathways are numerous. So I'm going to talk about two basic pathways today, because this is another reason I think people, need clarity on. So cybersecurity career pathways. First thing is you need to know the domains. Once you know the domain, a few questions you want to ask yourself. How technical do I want to go? So if you want to go to the more technical roles, then you should be looking at roles like penetration testing, security operations center analyst, network security engineer, malware analyst, just to mention a few. And then if you want to focus on less technical cybersecurity roles, then you're looking at roles like information security analyst, information security awareness specialist, cybersecurity governance risk and compliance specialist, business information security officer, third-party risk management specialist, just to mention a few. So I'm seeing some chats. I'm seeing some messages in the chats. Is CISM entry-level certification? Well, CISM is one of the easy exams to pass, but you do require certain years of experience. What you can do is you can pass the exam and then wait for some years to get the experience before you become an active CISM, before you have the license active. However, you can have it in your resume as CISM in brackets passed, meaning you've passed the exam, but you're yet to be licensed. So what I would suggest is this time around, we're doing things slightly different. I'm going to post the link in the chat for you to watch my last masterclass that focused on entry-level certifications, as well as some of the AI tools you can leverage to draw up your resume. Okay, so I'm going to highlight one success story of someone that's had no proud tech experience and has been able to transition successfully. And this person is acing it within the cyberspace. In fact, she just passed her CISSP exam. So I'm going to call on Efe. Efe, are you here?
Yes, Paula, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Um, So a quick brief about Ife, or you know what, I'll speak about that after Ife chat. So Ife, please take it away.
All right, thank you. It's nice to meet everyone on the call. Thanks, Fola, for having me. So I'm just gonna give you guys a bit of my success story and maybe a day in my life right now. So I started off, earlier on in Nigeria as an optometrist. Um, I studied optometry, it was 6 years, did the internship and all of that good stuff, youth service. Then I started working. So I worked as an optometrist in Nigeria for about maybe 7, 8 years, and I came into Canada. But on getting to Canada, because we have to bridge our degree as optometrists, it's a professional degree that you're not allowed to practice without going to University of Waterloo to do the bridging program. I could not give 2 years of my life to going to school to study again in order to become an optometrist in Canada. So I made the foray into project management. Project management, the good thing about it is that it's easy to, learn the terms. It's basic English. And because, coming from Nigeria, which is an English speaking country, I didn't have any barriers towards entering it. So it was IT project management. The only skill I needed to really upskill on was the tech terms. So things like SDLC, things like dev testing, parts, all those, good stuff that you learn in project management as part of SDLC. So I learned those, I picked those up on the job. I was able to effectively deliver. And I worked on one information security transformation program in one of the companies here in Canada, and that's how I just developed my interest for being in the GRC or information security space. And at the same time, I met Fola. I met her through someone who referred me to her for the program, and I did my training just like everyone else. I think my training at that time was for about 8 weeks, and I did the training. It was 8 weeks, studied. I had to put in extra work. I leveraged YouTube a lot. I leveraged Audible. I bought books on Audible. I bought, some courses on Udemy. I just had to, bring myself up to speed with everything that was being taught in class. So from the first lesson where we learned about hardware, software, although I knew what those were, but I just, mainframe, I learned about mainframe from that class as well. But I think my interest was, developed. And I took it upon myself to try to practice, deliver on my assignments. And, we had this chat group for my cohort where we could also support each other with deliverables. And that's how I made my foray into it. I completed the class. I did the CISA. I saw someone ask about CISM here. I did the CISA. The CISA is a Certified Information Security Auditor certification. I took that. I think it's intermediate. It's not an entry level skill. So CISM, Certified Information Security Manager, and CISA, Certified Information Security Auditor, are not entry level certifications. They are intermediate level certifications. And as Paula also mentioned, you need to have had maybe 3 years of experience before applying for the certification. But if you've had the experience, you can also use that, experience you've gathered and enter that in filling out your application form to get the certificate. So I did the CISA, and I passed, and I started applying for jobs immediately. The thing is, my own secret was not to give time. There was no time to say no time. So immediately after the CISA certification, I slammed that on my resume. I did my resume. I started applying, and within 3 weeks, I would say, from when I started applying, I got interviews. I had 2 scheduled for 1 week, the same week. I did the first one with one of these, I can't remember what they were, software development company here in Canada. I did that interview. I didn't get selected or shortlisted. I did the next one, same week. And that was how I made the entry. I just needed my feet to be in front of the door. And I was so happy I got that opportunity. And that's been it. So from that job, I'm in my second job right now. And I think I'm enjoying it really every step of the way. It's a nice, I'm happy I made my foray into it. Let me tell you guys, being a project manager, the full-time salary is less than 100K per annum. But what Fola mentioned about being like an information security analyst, cybersecurity, whatever analyst in this cybersecurity space is over 100K. So you're not starting low. It's six-figure from day one, from the get-go. If there are no questions, I saw a few questions. Maybe I would answer them.
Can you just tell us? So, a few things about Ife that Ife is probably too humble to mention. Ife started as an optometrist.
Yes.
Ife went through our Launchpad program. Ife is now a CISSP holder. Ife, you forgot to mention that.
Yeah, I should have.
So Ife has been around the block, and I'm happy that she's saying she does not regret it. Ife is actually even one of the instructors at Winfinite Consulting. Ife likes to read. I call Ife a prof.
I've stopped reading for the
You
past
stopped?
everything I need to pass.
So if they put in the work, because I think I just want to clarify that for a lot of people think that, oh, I just go for a training, I go to college, I attend a boot camp, bam, I get the job. It doesn't work that way, right? It's a process. It's a learning curve. It's not magic. So you attend a boot camp, fine, but you also need to put in your own efforts. If I would tell you that in class, if I was able to get a job, I think less than a month, even before the training ended. But guess what? It was because Ife put in all the extra work, always on YouTube, always, going above and beyond what was expected of Ife. So I just wanted to share that. And that is also when Ife instructs, because she's also an instructor, it's amazing. You would think that Ife has been in this field for like 12, 15 years. And that's because in a short time, she's been able to get that depth. So that's also something I wanted to clarify. So Ife, quickly in 5 minutes, can you just tell us what your day looks like?
Okay, yeah, sure. I saw a few questions. So someone quickly asked how long have I been in cybersecurity? So I did this training in 2022, 2 years ago, right? Yeah, 2 years ago. All right, so it's been 2 years ago I joined. All right, so a day in my life. So things that I do now will be things centered around patch and vulnerability reporting. I do a lot of triaging. So when there are patches that need to be applied to various systems, within my GRC space, I do some triaging quality work to ensure that the patch updates should be applied by the certain or specific team that should own that work. I do the double checks just to be sure from a quality standpoint, and I do a lot of reporting on this. I report on the metrics, how many issues were identified, how many vulnerabilities were there critical, medium, high, low. Within the organization I work, critical and high should be remediated within a certain number of days. It's usually 30 days for the industry. So are the IT teams remediating these findings per our information security policy? So I do that and I report that to senior management. I also do some proactive testing, when I say proactive testing, it's like proactive auditing. Before the actual auditors come to audit our IT systems, I do the testing to ensure that we are baking in security controls as mandated by our policies, our information security policies. I do some vendor risk assessments, reviewing vendor documents to be sure that they have also baked in enough security controls before they have an integration with my organization's system. I do a lot of security awareness training. I track metrics of phishing, how many people have clicked phishing emails and all of that good stuff. That tracks our phish prone percentage. I also do some policy review and policy development review. So I review policies for appropriateness, and I offer, risk assessments, and I offer some solutions on how things could get better, how we could bake in efficiencies into our processes. So that's a brief summary of everything I do as a day in my life.
Okay, thank you so much, Ife, for
Yeah.
sharing. I
Yep.
bring in Ife all the time because, Ife motivates me. In fact, I plan to write an exam now, and it's because of Ife,
I
right?
know, both of
Because
us. That
Ife
will be the
is
last
always
one, please. It's a lot.
learning, always reading, always. So, Ife, well done. And
Thanks.
Ife is also one of our instructors, to mentor people as well. Now, I see a lot of questions in the chat. Can we post our questions on Slido? Your questions are very important and we do not want to miss any. So the same place on Slido, if you go in there, there's a Q&A session, put in all your questions so that way all of our speakers will address it at the end of this masterclass. Okay. So Ife, thanks again.
Right.
See a question about what program did Ife do and all of that. We have a slide for that, so we're going to get there shortly. Okay, so how to start a cybersecurity career. So what I would tell anyone is, if you want to take a screenshot of this, go ahead, all right? But basically, your starting point is when you make a decision that, oh, I want to transition to cybersecurity. Or it might even be, I want to explore the cyberspace. In one of my classes, one of my students just finished a program at the college, and then he joined our Launchpad program. But he fell victim to a phishing attack, which was a bit embarrassing, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is you do not just have to know cybersecurity because of your career. As an individual, you don't want to fall victim to maybe a ransomware or to a phishing attack. You don't want to be that weak link in your organization. So you also want to keep abreast, about what is happening within the cyberspace, even as an individual. So you need to do it for yourself. So step one would be decide what you want to do, make a decision. Once you make that decision, then you want to evaluate your current skills. So in the chat, I saw a message, someone said, I'm in the IT space. Would this experience be relevant in cybersecurity? Of course. Remember that cybersecurity is one of the, umbrellas under IT, information technology. But what you need to do in your case is to map out your prior experience to the cybersecurity domain. So back to the slide, evaluate your current skills and identify your transferable skills. So for a lot of people, you have skill sets from your prior non-tech experience. So you need to write this down. And then whatever role you decide that you want to follow, your career goal, you also want to write down what are the skill sets I need to be able to perform in this role? And then do a mapping to say, okay, which skill can I transfer? So let's start with soft skills, your communication skills, your negotiation skills, problem-solving skills, analytical skills. So these are all skill sets you can easily transfer. But aside from that, when it comes to, the tech skills, I hear accountants tell me, oh, I was part of a parallel test. My team, we had a new application, and I was part of the team that did maybe user acceptance testing. So that is already you scratching the surface of software development lifecycle. Or maybe in your previous place, when you have new employees join, you're the middleman that reaches out to the provisioning team to make sure that they are set up on the system with the right access based on least privilege. So you're already scratching the surface of identity and access management. So basically, you need to think from that lens to say, okay, what do I have from all of these various roles I've done before? And what can I bring to cybersecurity? Is it going to be an advantage for me? When you go on LinkedIn now, remember that communication is also key. You need to communicate to maybe business people that do not really understand technical terms. And that is where your communication skills would help you shine. Ability to communicate technical keywords in simple terms, right? So that's another key transferable skill. that you can leverage. Then your next step is you want to have the right mindset. Your mindset plays a key role, right? Meaning I want to do this. What do I need to do to take me from here to there? And then you want to set your career goals with timelines, actionable timelines. Otherwise, you're not going to achieve what you've set out. Your next step is, now that you've done a mapping of your current skills to the skill sets needed to start a cybersecurity role, which is more like a skill mapping, right? You now need to start thinking, how do I build these skill sets? And how do you do this? A couple of ways. You can either decide to acquire the right skills, practical skills, because at the end of the day, during your interviews, nobody's going to be asking you theoretical questions. No, they're going to be asking you scenario-based questions, questions that will dig deep to find out whether you have on-the-job experience or practical skills. So do your due diligence. You can decide to start with self-study, right? There's some free resources out there. So somebody asked about entry level earlier. ISC2 has certificates in cybersecurity, CC. So that's a free one. Or you can decide that, you know what, I've researched on the internet and I'm overwhelmed, too much information. I need maybe a career coach or a structured training, like a boot camp that would help me. So if you want to go that route, that's another way. Or you can then decide that, you know what, based on your budget, you want to go back to school. Do your due diligence, right? Out of these three, which one is going to help you achieve your career goals? Then your next step would be to build your tech profile. Remember that at the end of the day, it's your job to demonstrate to the hiring manager that you are the best person for this role, as we will hear from our technical recruiter and HR business partners. How do you build your tech profile? By taking relevant certification. Certifications help you demonstrate credibility, industry recognition, and there are a lot of sets out there. So I don't want you to get into that trap of just amassing certifications. No, you need to know where you want to get to know the right certification that would help you get to your destination. A lot of certifications. Aside from CISM, aside from CISSP, aside from Security Plus, Network Plus, you have CEH, you have GI, so many other certifications. So you can't just be taking certifications blindly. No, you need to take the certification that would help you get to where you want to be, that would help you demonstrate credibility. So if you want to be a pen tester, for example, then you'll be looking at maybe certified ethical hacker. If you want to maybe go into GRC, for example, you'll be looking at maybe CISM, CISSP, or even CCSP, cloud security. If you want to be a cloud security engineer, then you'll be looking at certifications around cloud security. So please don't put the cart before the horse. And you need to be intentional. You need to be strategic about this. So you need to draw up a roadmap. Another way to demonstrate, practical skills is by doing what is called CTF challenges or capture the flag. Has anyone heard of this? So you'll be using platforms like Try Hack Me, Hack the Box. Is anyone familiar with any of these CTF platforms?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Another one is through job simulations, right? When you go through Forage, just go to Forage. You can work with different teams across the world remotely, whether MasterCard, you join their information security team in creating a very solid information security awareness for their employees. There's so many things for you to do in there. And the good thing is they're going to give you a certificate of completion at the end that you can proudly display on LinkedIn, add to your resume. So it's also part of, you being strategic. Then you want to okay, sorry about that. My battery is going low. Then you want to build your resume. right? Remember that your resume is like a 10-second sales speech to the hiring manager. So you want to make sure that you have a tailored resume. It is your job to highlight or showcase the skill sets that the hiring managers are looking for. Hiring managers get upwards of maybe 100 or more resumes, and they don't have all the time in the world to go through. So at a quick glance, they must be able to see the skill sets that they are looking for. And then you need to optimize your LinkedIn profile. You need to do this too before you start applying for jobs. How do you apply for jobs? You can go onto Google and type in the job you're looking for. You have job boards, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor. You even have LinkedIn Explorer to help you. And then you want to start prepping for your interview, making sure that your responses demonstrate the right skills and experience. You're using the right keywords, the right buzzwords. Networking with professionals, very key. What are you doing on LinkedIn? You need to start, mingling with like minds. And then, of course, keeping with industry trends and best practices. I cannot overemphasize all of this. It is absolutely important. Again, if you have any questions, because I see some questions in the chat, just drop them on Slido so that way, at the end of the day, we can address all of your questions. Take the time to address your questions. So without further ado, we're going to move into our panel discussion. Intro. Everyone knows me already. If you don't, too bad. But basically, my name is Fola again, and I've been in the cyberspace. I'm a career coach, and I have a boot camp where I help people to gain the right skill sets to transition into cybersecurity. So I'm going to start with Noel. So Noel, please take it away.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Fola, for inviting me to come and speak. So I have been in talent acquisition in the technical space for the last 15 plus years, working for some large global organizations and small startups as well. So I'm excited to provide and give some insight and some tips on how to break in and kind of further your careers, but it's a pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you so much, Noel.
So, you look familiar.
Okay, can everybody go on mute? I'm just going to put everyone on mute. Okay, I'm passing it to you, Ola.
All right, thank you so much, Ola, for this wonderful initiative. My name is Ola, and I am a certified HR leader and a senior HR business partner in one of Canada's retail organizations. I have over a decade experience in human resources, performing different HR functions from talent acquisition to employee retention and engagement. So today we're going to be talking to you about not only getting the jobs, but also putting the skills together to help you retain those jobs and thrive in those roles. So I am super delighted to be here today to share my knowledge and experience with you all to help you land your dream job in your desired industry. In this case, I believe it's tech, because I'm sure a number of people are on this call today looking to grow in cybersecurity or maybe looking to pivot into it. So as a person who had the opportunity to sit at the other side of the table as an interviewer, I am more than happy to provide insight into what hiring managers are looking for when they are engaging you in interview sessions. So again, thank you, Fola, for having me here today, and I look forward to having a very engaging session.
Thank you so much, Ola. Okay, we have one more speaker. He's probably going to join, but let's see if he's here. Is Alabi Adeneko. He's the CEO of JL13. He's a man that wears many hats. He has 2 applications that he runs. He's also a career mentor. He also works for organizations in terms of job placement for cybersecurity roles, amongst others. So as soon as he joins, he will be able to do a proper intro. So we've brought this expert, to speak to you on how to break into cybersecurity, how to place yourself strategically. The job market right now is very competitive. So you have different people at different stages. There's some that just want to break in. They don't know how to break in. Some have been struggling to break in, right? Maybe you've done interviews, or maybe you've been getting rejection emails from your resume. Then clearly there's a problem with your resume. So we're going to lean on these experts to share their years of experience, reveal to us. Oh, I see Mr. Alabi. Hi, Alabi.
I'm here already. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. So I was just trying to introduce you. So now that you're here, maybe you want to do a better introduction.
No, I think you're good. Hi, everyone. Alabi Adeneko. Been doing tech all my life, so about 2.5 decades now in tech, purely focused on critical infrastructure, cyber, enterprise architecture, before pivoting and starting my own consulting company, where we focus on digital transformation, cybersecurity, critical infrastructure protection, and like Fola said, tech resource placement, especially cyber resources. Yeah, we do have our own product. Thanks, Fola, for that. We have a fintech platform, and we have a communication platform out there.
Hey, perfect. So we're going to start with our first question. And for our audience, remember you have Slido. The details are in the chat. Start putting all your questions, because this opportunity, you don't want to miss this opportunity. Having, all of these great speakers. So our first question is, how should people position their resume for desired cybersecurity roles in the job markets? So I'm going to start with Noel. So Noel, do you want to take this?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a fantastic question. And you did a really good job in previous slide, kind of outlining some of the things that you can do. And I think number one really is doing a self-assessment, and also trying to determine, which area of cybersecurity you want to break into, doing a self-assessment from that point, and identifying those transferable skills. Making sure those transferable skills are in the resume and that you are demonstrating them everywhere that you can. And I always say, learn. Once you've identified that area within cybersecurity, identify the tools, some of the other skills needed, and start learning as much as possible. Courses, certifications, and really, I think back to even students and co-op students, and when we get hundreds of applicants, we go, how do we decide between, or how do we choose between which candidates we're going to interview? And really, it is initiative. Are there people taking courses on the side? Are they doing self-learning? Do they have the drive and the motivation to push and to get into the field? So I would really say that, learning as much as possible, becoming familiar with the tools, but having it incorporated into that resume and stand out in the resume. And, I would also say that whatever goes in your resume, being able to speak to it. We see every day, candidates putting every technology that they've seen, that other teams that they've collaborated with have worked with, and when it comes to it, they're unable to speak to how they utilize those tools. So make sure that any experience, tools that go in your resume, that you're able to speak to it.
Thank you so much, Noel. Yeah. Alabi, I'll pass it on to you.
Okay. Thanks. I think I'll just pick from where Noah stopped. Each time you apply, each time you see a job posting and you see the job description, first thing you look at is this: does your resume match at least 60 to 70% of what is asked for. If it matches, number one, I'll say go ahead and apply. Now, like Noel said, everything in your CV, be sure you can speak to, right? Have that, those transferable skills are important, right? The cybersecurity field is so wide. It's so wide that many people don't even consider some areas as cybersecurity, areas of physical security, for instance, areas of career development, governance. These are part of cybersecurity domains, right? So sometimes don't be too focused on the core technicals, right, of cyber. But whenever you position in your CV, I would always say this: make sure you're speaking to your strength. You're playing to your strength. Make sure the job match your strength, and I believe doing that, you already ahead of competition.
Thank you, Alabi and Ola.
Yeah, I'll just add to all the things that both Noel and Alabi has mentioned. I know that as technical individual or people looking to transition into the tech world, we could be tempted to techify our resumes to make it look tech. But just a reminder, and maybe people who maybe may never have heard this before. Some organizations use a tool called Applicant Tracking System, ATS. And what it does is it screens these resumes for us, like we mentioned earlier. When a job is posted, sometimes there are 500 resumes, sometimes even more. It is absolutely impossible for a single individual to go through all of this. So most organizations use this tool to help us scrutinize these resumes. So you need to ensure that even though you're looking for a tech role, you don't unnecessarily techify your resume such that it doesn't pass through the ATS. And what I'm trying to say is make it as simple as possible. The formatting, for example, no pictures, make it as simple as possible. You can use PDF, Microsoft Word, just so that you get to the front of the interviewers. We need your resume to be positioned in such a way that it doesn't screen you out even before you get to a chance to interview. So that's one thing I would say. The other thing is making use of action words like design, collaborated, facilitated, implemented, managed, and things like that. Those are catchy words that would make your resume stand out, so that when a hiring manager is reviewing this, they would see that these individual know their stuff, they know what they're doing. So that's one thing I'll also add.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope we're all taking notes. In the invite, I did say get a pad, get a pen, and if whatever drink, whether water, whether coffee, because you're going to be taking a lot of notes. So our next question, what are some of the strategies for acing the first cybersecurity interview, or basically acing any cybersecurity job interviews? So this time around, I'm going to start with you, Alabi.
Okay. I'm going to start by saying this, right? A cybersecurity job interview is another job interview. All right. So number one, take the pressure off yourself. Number two, you are going into that interview, have a mindset that you are also interviewing that organization. It's not a one-way traffic. Again, ease yourself out of pressure. You want to know if the organization is the best place for you to work. And they also want to know if you're the best fit for them to hire. So it's a two-way street. So whenever you approach any interview, most especially cybersecurity jobs, make sure that you're coming at it from a two-way street. You're going there to sell yourself, and you're going there to check if they're the right people for you to work with. Number one, research about the organization, know about them ahead of time, critical project that they may be working on. If it is in the public domain, try and check. If you have the opportunity to already have the name of the interviewer, there is nothing stopping you from researching them, looking them up, right? Many hiring managers today prefer that you have done your research about them and about the organization and about the role before you walk into the role. So if you can do all that, I think you are already well off. Then secondly, once you get into the interview room, relax. Relax. Bring your A game to the forefront. Attitude over aptitude any day. Attitude over aptitude. Let me say that again. Any day. Right? Then I'll say after the interview, follow up. Try and follow up. Thank you. That's my contribution for now.
Those were great words because for most hiring managers, including myself, because I do hire from the cybersecurity side, is they don't only just look at technical skills, right? They look at your body language, your cue, your communication skills, because a lot of organizations or a lot of teams, they already have problems, like let me say challenges. So for this new person they are interviewing, they want to see if you're the right fit. There's something called team cohesion. Everything we do for organizations, it's most times teamwork. So they want that person that is going to be able to gel with the team. So if you go into an interview and you're just speaking tech, if you are too techy, just as Ola said earlier, that's even a problem on its own. Because when you go into meetings with executives, you need to be able to simplify technical jargons. Otherwise, you won't be communicating because communication is two-way. I speak and then somebody understands me. If I'm talking and nobody understands me, then I really not done it. It's just everybody, it's a waste of time for everyone. So thank you so much, Alabi, for sharing that. Well, still on strategies for acing cybersecurity.
That was very good. That was very good insight. And I can definitely build on that. I mean, research is very important. Being prepared, researching the organization, know who you're interviewing with, know your audience, and I would say prepare for the behavioral part of the interviews, the HR interviews, as some people like to say, and interviewing hundreds and thousands of people. There are typical questions that come up, and especially related to cybersecurity, you might be asked to come up with examples on around skills like adaptability, analytical thinking, ethical dilemmas, or having an ethical mindset, communication skills, where you've collaborated. Interviewers will ask for examples of that. So, in your preparation before going in, think back on some of those skills that are needed for the role, review the job description, obviously, and come up with a couple potential examples that you can use and demonstrate in speaking with candidates. Oftentimes when meeting candidates in interviews, that is the one area that people struggle the most with. If something hasn't been prepared, then coming up with something at the top of your head, it can be done, but it takes a little bit less stress off of you by having that prepared.
Hey, and lovely lady Ola.
Thank you. Finally, you remember me. So interview is one part that I'm very, very big on, and I can go on and on and on, but I would be very mindful of our time this morning. But the one thing that really stands out for me in interview is confidence. You probably would know all the technical pieces and have the skills, but I've seen people get to the interview stage and would just crumble and just mess it up. So if there's anything that I want you to take from here, is to ensure that while going for your interview, even though it could be very stressful and intimidating, go there with your head held up high, your shoulder up high, because it's very important for you to take charge of your interview confidently from start to finish. That is one thing that interviews are looking for. And the way you're able to position your interview and make it go would really determine whether or not you get the job. When it comes to cybersecurity, have it at the back of your mind that most organizations are looking for people who have proactive approach rather than reactive approach to cybersecurity. They are looking for someone who is able to prefers a solution to problems, someone who is able to think ahead. So when you're able to demonstrate those skills in your interview, it will make you stand out. Remember, when companies are hit with cybersecurity situations, they not only have financial damage, their reputation is also damaged, which cannot be quantified. So they're looking for someone who is able to be proactive rather than reactive in this. So that's one thing you have to have at the back of your mind. Go into your interview sessions with questions for the interviewer, like Alabi mentioned earlier. It's a two-way street. Have questions at the back of your mind, because most interviewers would ask you, do you have questions for us? And most times when people say no, it just shows me that maybe they haven't done their research enough about the company, or maybe they're just blank. So usually have at least one or two or three questions at the back of your mind. And if you have none, just say, well, you mentioned this earlier. Just refer to what was mentioned earlier in the interview. So that would make sure that you have something to say when the interviewer does ask you what questions you have for them.
Interesting. I was also taking notes. So basically, you want to exude confidence. Speak like you know what you're talking about, right? And the tone of your voice also matters. When you speak with a low voice, it seems like you lack confidence or you don't know what you're saying. So speak with clarity, like even if you don't know what you're saying, speak like you know it. It is your job to answer the question, and the hiring manager's job to decide whether you've answered correctly. So do your bit.
And
Be
one thing again,
proactive. Okay, go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to.
No worries.
Don't be afraid to, if you don't understand the question that's been asked, don't be afraid to ask the interviewer to rephrase the question. That it's okay. Some people they will just answer the question without really understanding what the question is about. Don't be afraid to ask them to rephrase or repeat the question. It's okay. That's how you build confidence in an interview. That's why it's very important to go into that interview with confidence, so that you can be able to speak up and ask questions. Ask them to, like you mentioned before, we are also interviewing ourselves here. It's not just a one-way thing. Ask them, do you want to repeat yourself or rephrase yourself? Or even ask for a minute to think about your response, so that you can provide a quality response to them. So don't be afraid to pause. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
That's really good. I've added that to my notes, right? And if you're the kind of person that maybe you don't like too many things coming to you at once, you can get a pen and a paper. And then at the beginning of the interview, tell them that, do they mind if you sort of put your thoughts together? And just as Ola has said, proactive. I like that. Because what is going to make you stand out during interviews is you going the extra mile. So when they ask you a question, don't just answer a yes or a no. No, provide that additional rationale, because they need to understand how you think, your thought process. So you want to make sure that that is very evident in the way you answer your questions. And the truth is, interviews, at the end of the day, it's more like a competition between you and the other people. So for you to stand out, you want to remain memorable, top of mind, so that at the end of the interview, it's very clear why Fola, is the right candidate. Because not only did she go ahead, she was very proactive. When they ask you some questions, at times you answer in such a way that the hiring manager then says, well, you just answered my next question. So that is that proactive approach Ola was talking about. And for me personally, that's one thing I look at when I'm hiring anyone. Because the truth is, when it comes to on-the-job performance, that's also what is going to make you stand out, of course, in a strategic way. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now,
sorry.
Sure.
One more line there, right? So I think we've said it all. I just want to add this to it, right? In a technical interview, especially cybersecurity moves, right? Noel mentioned something about ethics. Ola mentioned something about proactiveness, forward-looking. Now, when you're looking at an organization, like if you come in for an interview and I'm doing an interview with you, I want you to relate with my current situation in your own answers. And you're going to say, how do I know that? You already know my product. You know what I do. Picture it from that angle. Relate it to that, right? I know you guys are into communications, for instance. I know you guys are into fintech. I know you guys are into banking, right? Now, this happened at the time. Now, use the STAR methodology. Always tell a story that is concise, precise, with example, right? The situation, the task at hand, the action you took, the result you got.
Okay, thank you. So I hope we're taking notes. These are things you do not want to forget. Because at the end of the day, what is going to make you pass that interview? It's not just your technical skill sets. I think that's a lot of trap a lot of people fall into. You go to interviews and you just drop all those technical terms. No, technicality can be taught. At times, what the hiring manager would agree to go with is the person that, oh, I like this person's personality. This person is a culture fit. And then when you come in, you will learn on the job. I mean, cybersecurity is so broad anyways, and nobody can know it 100%. So you're going to keep learning. So let's go to our next question. What employers are looking for and how to stand out from the competition. In fact, I just had a question come to my mind. Before we answer this, I want us to talk about some of the transferable skills. So in your opinion, for people that have no proud tech experience whatsoever, how can they highlight or showcase the transferable skills they have that would be relevant in the cybersecurity role? So who wants to go first this time around?
I think I can go, and then I'll let
Okay.
my other thought leaders add to whatever it is that I have to say. If you don't have the skills and competencies section in your resume, I would strongly recommend that you have that section in your resume that briefly talks about your skills and competencies. And that section you can always tweak depending on what role you're applying for. So in that skills and competencies section, you have analytical skills, communication skills, problem-solving skills, adaptability, teamwork, and everything that's highlighted in the job description. Remember, when you're applying for a role, you take a very close look at the job description and ensure that your resume closely matches it. So the skills that they said they are looking for, ensure it finds its way into your resume. And those skills that are transferable in cybersecurity, being able to analyze and break down complex information into simple, understandable forms is key. Being able to convey technical information to non-technical stakeholders is one key competency or skill that will be required or that's very valuable in the cybersecurity world. Problem-solving skills, those are things that you want to highlight in your resume. So if you don't have that skill section in your resume, my recommendation would be for you to add that and ensure that you continue to update that section to align with what they're looking for.
Thank you, Ola. So I'll pass it on to Noel.
Yeah, you can, if you had to visualize it, you could visualize it as a triangle where in one point you have your resume, another point you have the job description and the organization, and the third point is yourself. And yourself, what you're saying should match your resume, should match the job description. So all of them should be fluid, and what's in the job description should be reflected in your resume. And you're speaking to your resume. So they're all interconnected. I mean, there are skills that are very important that may not be in the job description, but that's a really good starting point.
Thanks, Noel. Alabi.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I think,
Do you want to take the question
both
again?
both Ola and Noah made a very important point, right? Now, when you're coming into a tech world, especially into cybersecurity, and you have no tech experience, look at where you are right now. So Noah, let me borrow from Noah now. I'm going to plagiarize a bit. Look at that job description, look at yourself, and then look at your CV. like Ola said, highlight those critical interpersonal skills that you already have, those soft skills. Highlight them. Then go and look at your current proficiencies and see where they align. And this is where we miss things a lot. Your current proficiencies are very strong and relatable in most cases to cybersecurity. If you're an auditor, you audit finances. I bet you can easily audit IT. You can easily sit as somebody that has a CISA. But you thinking it too hard at the moment. Oh, is it? Yeah, there are a little bit of nuances with the frameworks and things like that. But the truth is that the principle of audit is the same. So I always advise people, especially when I mentor or coach, start from where you are right now. Where you are right now. You are a project manager, you've been project managing in areas that are not technical. You're coming into cyber. Okay, we have cybersecurity project management. People deliver projects in cybersecurity every time. You should pivot from that angle. Start from that point. Pivot from your strength. And then gradually acquire the other skills that you know, or that you need, or that you think you need. Let me put it that way. The one that you know you need, the one that you think you need, and the one the job says you need.
Thank you so much, Alabi. So basically, what you need to do is what is called a gap analysis, right? Take your resume, your current resume, whatever job you're currently doing, whether you're a customer care representative, you're a waitress, you're an accountant, whatever. Take your job description and then do that, comparison or gap analysis. And there are AI tools you can actually use for this if you don't want to do it yourself, right? That's not the topic for today, but there's a lot of things you can do. So what I would say is I've dropped the link in the chat. You can actually go through it, and that's where I talked about all of these AI tools. A lot of people ask, would AI take away my job? No, in a normal situation. But if you do not upskill and try to use AI to better your performance and your deliverables, then AI will definitely take away your job. So what you need to learn is how to leverage AI to be better at what you do. AI is garbage in, garbage out, right? But as a human, you're going to bring in a different perspective. And that is your selling point, your unique selling point. Okay, so to our other question, what employers are looking for and how to stand out from the competition? This is a very loaded question. So I want to move things around. I think I will start with Alabi this time.
Oh, I thought you were going to say ladies first and start with all.
She's not being compliant right now. Forgive her.
So, what are employers looking for and how to stand out? I think we've actually mentioned it in the first place. As an employer myself, the first thing I look is for cultural fit. Are you going to be the best person to work with? Are you going to leave a lasting experience where you want to come in and stay for the long run? Right. So number one, understand the culture of the organization. It might be challenging if they are startup, but for established organization, you can find out what their work culture look like. There's Glassdoor. There is Indeed. There's a lot of reviews on there. You can go on LinkedIn and find an employee in that organization, probably even in the department you're going into. Ask the question, make your research, know about their culture. If you're a culture fit, you're well on the way. Number two, are you relatable? Does your person fit? Because your hiring manager is important. Your hiring manager is like, sorry, I'm going to use this analogy. Your hiring manager is like your husband or your wife. Right? So are you going to be able to work 8 hours with that person? That's what hiring managers are looking at. 8 hours of my life every day for 5 days a week, I'm stuck with this personality. Am I going to be able to work with them? Right? So that's another thing they're looking for. And you'll be shocked. Most of these are soft skills. The technical skills come after. Now, one other thing is how teachable are you? How teachable are you? And we said I think it was Ola that mentioned this. If you need a moment in an interview, if you made a mistake, try and own up and say, oh, I think I need to correct that. Or I think I need a moment to put my thought together. I think you need to know that they love it when you show that. Now, don't go into an interview showing you're vulnerable. Don't get me wrong here. But they love it when you show your true personality, and when you're vulnerable, be clear. Because it shows that you're human, you're relatable, you're not coming there as fake. Again, the last thing, everything on your CV, make sure you can speak to it. If the hiring manager senses that you're cooking up, sorry, again, cooking up BS, that's not going to go well. That's not going to go well at all. Now, for cyber roles, specifically, one other thing is how vast and aware are you about current trends in the industry? Current threat landscape, what do they look like? Frameworks. You don't have to be certified, don't get me wrong, but frameworks, right? And then I'll leave it there for others.
Hey, Ola.
Yeah, I can jump in now if that's okay. I think Alabia said a lot. He has dropped lots of nuggets. It's hard to match that. But if I have to add one or two things, I would say the one thing that would make you stand out in an interview, for me as an interviewer, I look at someone who has made an effort to research about the company, about the role, perhaps about the interviewer themselves. If you're coming into the interview, a lot of people are coming into the interview with zero idea of what the company does or of what the role entails. But if you can demonstrate that you've taken some time to pause and think about the role, the job, it will be great. It makes you stand out immediately. The other thing is, what value are you adding to the company? Demonstrate in your interview what gaps you're looking to fill. It's easy for you just to come into the interview and asking for $150,000, but you also must be able to demonstrate what you're looking to solve for them, what your low value you're bringing to the table, and make sure you have that as part of your elevator pitch, so that you catch the attention of the interviewer from the get-go, from the first second. So what value are you bringing to the table? What solutions are you looking to profile? And how much do you know about the role, about the job in terms of research? It is very important, and that would help you stand out from the competition, in my opinion.
That's really good. Noel.
So I want to rewind it a little bit and focus on everything before the interview. And I would say, when you're applying to positions, apply with purpose. Make sure you identify those positions that you feel like you're a good fit for and that align with your profile. I often hear candidates that say, I applied for 200 positions and I didn't get an interview, I didn't get a response. It's very difficult to make one resume applicable to hundreds of positions. So be very purposeful and make sure that you reflect that job description and also show initiative. If I look at some of the positions that I'm working on now, there could be 300 applicants. Less than 5% would actually take the time to do research, go on LinkedIn, find out the hiring manager that I'm working with, or find that I'm the recruiter working on it and sending a personalized message. We might think that, what some of the things we're covering are very common today, but they're actually not so common. And it can really make the difference from the perspective of an employer or a recruiter or a manager looking at the resume. And when you send that message, when you reach out, it makes them take a second look. The average recruiter looks at each resume for 7 seconds. They'll start at the top, actually even less than 7 seconds. I think it's like 4 to 7 seconds. They'll start at the top, they'll go down, and then on to the next one. So any chance you can get to show initiative, message, reach out, express interest, and get them to take a second look at your resume will increase your chances of going from applying to interview or conversation.
Really nice perspective. Really nice perspective. And I think that is absolutely important because the market right now is absolutely crazy. I hear a lot of people tell me I apply for 20 jobs per night. I'm using an AI tool to apply for 200 jobs. So what I say is quality over quantity, right? So if I borrow a few nuggets, from everyone that has spoken, be intentional, tailor your resume, network. So if you can go by referral, even better. Go onto LinkedIn, look for somebody that works for that organization, send a sweet and polite message to that person and see if that person is willing to refer you. Because referrals already, places you above other people, in a subtle way. So do that. And just as Noel has said, send a personalized message to this person, right? Indicating interest. And then when they finally call you for the interview, you want to be prepared. How do you want to be prepared? Due diligence. They're going to send you a meeting invite with the details of your interviewers. Go onto LinkedIn, go search up about them, right? As we always say, not everything is technical. Personally, I've attended an interview, and what made me stand out was the fact that I talked about DEI. Apparently, the lady is the champion of DEI. So I talked about a couple of things, and I gave an example of DEI, and that was it. She just took it away to say, how did you know that I'm so passionate about DEI? I mean, this is for a cyber role. So basically, what we all need to know is technical skills will take you there, but your soft skills are even more important. And you need to be able to relate with this person, just as Alabi said. They want to know if you're the right culture fit. Go to their LinkedIn, scroll down. What are their interests? What do they do outside work? And when you start the interview, typically the hiring manager is going to introduce themselves. You have different types of hiring managers. Some talk a lot. They would have even outlined all their challenges before they start asking you questions. So when they outline their challenges, then any responses you're going to be providing must be able to solve those challenges. So do you see how it works? I'm looking for something, right? It is your job to highlight to me that you are the solution I've been looking for all my life. That's what is going to make you stand out. And then, of course, they've said you should also ask questions at the end of the interview. Make sure that those questions relate to something they've spoken about, one way or the other. And that is even also your cue to sort of summarize why you're the best person for the job, right? So please bear in mind that there's still so much more, but what has been shared today are really great nuggets. And I hope you were able to take notes. Okay, so any last words from our speakers?
Yeah, I'll just say one last thing, and I know we talked it earlier, but just to emphasize the power of networking and referral. It's very key. Like I mentioned before, there are thousands of resume. Anytime you see a job posting, there are lots and lots of resume. But imagine if you can see someone who would go to the hiring manager and say, I know this person. It works like magic. And trust me, it works like magic. So network as much as you can, seek referral from people, and let that way your resume can be taken from way down there to the front of the hiring manager so that you get a chance at an interview.
Perfect. Thanks, Ola. Noel and Alabi.
Yeah, I would just say, Olaf probably just taken most of the word out of my mouth. I was saying, one, coming into cybersecurity, again, start from where you are. Look at the skills you have that are transferable. Get the necessary skill that you think you need. Again, that you think you need. The ones that you do know you need are your priority, right? But most times it's difficult to know what do you actually need from what you think you need. And like Fola said earlier on, some AI tools can help you out in that instance. And it becomes easy from that angle if you have someone guiding you. Then we've talked about referrals a bit. There is one aspect that we need to also understand in networking. Look for mentors. Look for mentors. Look for sponsors. There are two different things. A mentor will guide you through a journey. A sponsor will open doors for you, even when you are not there. Right. Look for mentors, look for sponsors, and you can only do that through networking. Right. And don't think that you have to walk this journey alone. I still have mentors, not one, not two. Right. And I still mentor others as well. Right. Be open to learning. Be a lifelong learner. Again, just be the best version of yourself and be relatable.
Thank you, Alabi and Noel.
Yeah, I would just say do everything with purpose, quality over quantity. I think we've covered quite a bit, and I'm excited to hear what questions everyone would have for us.
Hey, so before we go into Q&A, just to help everybody put things in perspective, I have this, on my screen. So I call this your career roadmap. That's going to take you from where you are right now to achieve, that career goal you're interested in. So after this call, write out your transferable skills. What cybersecurity career pathways are you interested in? What are your next steps? Meaning, what actions do you need to take to be able to get to where you need to be? So maybe you want to join a boot camp, you want to get a mentor, you want to network with people on LinkedIn, write that out. I find that when you write things, you're more focused. So the chances that you would achieve something you've written down is way higher than when you just make a mental note. And then, of course, you want to put in realistic timelines. So I want to do A in 2 months, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. If you need to print this out and then keep it somewhere visible, right? As an anchor point, or you look for accountability partners that would always remind you to say, oh, Fola, I thought you said you wanted to do this. Where are you at right now? I do that for a lot of people. Because what I've noticed is for a lot of people, all you need is just that push to get you to where you need to be. So anyone can be your accountability partner. Okay, so I did see a question about, how to transition. So if you want to transition, you followed all of the recommendations, advice they've given you, and you do decide that you want to sign up for something structured, then I'm going to briefly talk about my Cybersecurity Launchpad Program. So this is a 10-week program designed for beginners with no prior tech experience. Ife, who spoke, joined this program a while back. In fact, she's also one of my instructors right now. Her focus area is TPRM as well as vulnerability management. So this program, it's hands-on and is industry-centric, meaning what to expect on the job. You can join from the convenience of your home, flexible. You're going to be working on case studies, simulations, capstone projects, and of course, you have multiple payment plans, including financing option. You're going to have access to recordings and training resources, very key certification prep resources for credibility, access to study groups, so to push you to make sure that you're following your roadmap. And then you're going to get a tailored career roadmap at the end of the training for your next steps. And there's a post-training support, because the fact that you're new to cybersecurity means that you will definitely need more than a training. So you have questions, maybe an interview, you have questions, or you just need materials, or you just need that inspiration. Maybe you want to hear how other people that were in your cohorts got a job, how they passed their exams. And then an internship opportunity for you to practicalize all what you've learned within the training. So it's a combination of self-paced and live instructor-led classes. The classes are held twice a week, Saturday 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and on Monday 6 p.m. AST to 7 p.m. AST, because most people that join are people that are working. The cost is 2,500 Canadian dollars. Our next cohort starts on May 11, 2024. So if you want to get more information about this, you can visit our website. It's www.winfiniteconsulting.com. I'm going to post that in the chat. So with this, we are going to go into our Q&A. Now, if you want to follow us to get more information about our webinars, our masterclasses, videos, you can follow us via our Instagram handle, Winfinite IT Consulting. You can subscribe to our weekly newsletters, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I see a lot of questions around, would I be able to watch this? So it's going to be posted to YouTube, and then you can go in and watch. So with this, we are going into our Q&A. Okay, first question. Are there any good intro level certifications for GRC? Yes. So I believe the person that asked this question has already earmarked his or her career pathway as governance, risk, and compliance part of cybersecurity. So in terms of certifications, you have quite a number. You have CISM. CISM is Certified Information Security Manager. You have CISA. You have CISSP. I would not recommend that at this level. That is a bit advanced. Cloud security is another good one, so CCSP. But basically, for you to get the answer to this question, what I would have you do is, at the end of this program, go online, just Google, type in IT GRC or cybersecurity GRC roles, and then look at some job descriptions. Take note of the certifications they're asking for, and it's usually one of these ones I've talked about: CISM, CISA, CISSP, or CCSP. And then that would help you decide on the one you want to write. Also, pay attention to how easy it is to pass the exams. So ISC2 manages CISSP, CCSP, and CC. The way they ask their questions is definitely different from ISACA. ISACA manages CISM, CISA, CDPSC. ISC2 also has another certification for GRC. That is not very common. I don't really see that. So I would ask that you stick to one of the common ones. Does job description ask for minimum 3 to 5 years experience? How does candidates with no experience apply to them? So before I talk on this, I want to hear from our HR experts first. Ola and Well, are you guys still here?
I am still here, Paula,
Yeah.
and I would be happy to take a stab at that. So
Okay.
I believe the question is, if the job description asks for 3 to 5 years experience, how do candidates apply to them? Now, I don't know who asked this question for sure, but what I can say is there are two types of resume. One of them is what we call functional resume. So it's different from the traditional resume that shows your company, what you did, and all of your history. The functional resume is more about the transferable skills. It talks about those things that you can do to succeed on that job, even though you do not have the exact experience with a company. So things like analytical skills can find its way into your functional resume and highlight those skills that you have that will be relevant to that role. So even though you don't have core experience on the job, you can highlight your skills and experience that you have that can also be useful and valuable on that job. And that is what you do with functional resumes.
Thank you, Ola. Noel?
Yeah, I think, I mean, oftentimes in job descriptions, it'll ask for a certain amount of experience in multiple areas. I would say that if you do have experience in some areas, not all, and the same thing when you look at a job description and you look at your resume and you go, okay, I match 70% of the qualifications. And that 3 to 5 years, for example, is always a little flexible, for sure. But if you meet some of the other requirements, then definitely go ahead and apply for that. As long as you have a well-written resume, you can speak to what's in there, and you meet a majority of those qualifications. For instance, if it is if a job description is asking for experience with a monitoring tool, and you have 6 months experience as opposed to 3 to 5, or some exposure to it but not a lot, but you meet the other qualifications, then definitely apply. I mean, when employers hire, they rarely find someone who's 100%, who meets 100% of the qualifications. Usually the person that they hire has about 75 to 80. The rest can be learned on the job. Yeah.
Perfect. Alabi?
Yeah, I think Noel just hit the nail on the head there. Right? It's important that you may not have the required experience in one particular area, but look at the job description holistically and see where you have experience and then align to that strength. Now, I will only caution on this if you do not have the experience at all, right? In some of the, let's say you checked it and you know for sure you're below, I would say 60% of what is being required, don't apply, sincerely, right? Ola said something, sorry, I think it was Noel that said something earlier on about your CV and job descriptions. I would rather that you tailor your CV to the job you want. And then you go out there and look for that type of job that match. So having 20 CVs, sometimes it's a problem. Having 2, 3, 4 CVs that cater to different strengths, it's okay. Again, your career path matters a lot. You can today apply to a BA role, at the same time tomorrow you're applying to a cybersecurity role, and then next tomorrow you're applying to a project management role. Right. So when you're looking at all this, look at the experiences you have already. Which one aligns? If it's over, again, I'll say this, if it's over 60 to 70%, that is good. But if there are some critical areas saying 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, 3 to 5 years, and you count it, and then you have 3 to 5 years and about 60% growth, yeah, good. But if it's lesser, I would say give another job an opportunity, apply to another job. That's the truth I will share with you. You will not really pass the ATS if you submit your CV. Like Ola said, most of the time you will not. If you do tailor your CV or doctor it and you get into the interview, you may not like the experience if the hiring manager comes up with some things around those areas, and you don't want to sound as if you make things up.
Okay. So basically what I would say here is we've talked about transferable skills a lot. So you need to think deep within you to say, okay, have I done anything that is related to what they are asking for? If it's a yes, then that's part of your experience. So let me give you a good example. In fact, I can even borrow Alabi's example. Something about, let's say you want to apply for maybe a cybersecurity audit role. You've been doing audit, so you understand the audit methodology, right? So you don't have specific experience when it comes to technical or cybersecurity space, but you do understand the audit methodology. So you do have some type of experience in there. So you need to know that for a lot of roles, has anyone seen any job description when you ask yourself to say, okay, is this not the job description of 3 people in one? They want you to know so much. So you need to understand that hiring managers, some of the things they've put in there for you to have, you might never even do it on the job. But why have they put it in there? Because cybersecurity is a vast space, right? So they want you to be knowledgeable enough such that when they need that skill set, then you don't need to go and be hired. So you need to think from that lens. Okay, so let's look at our next question. Will the entry-level technical roles like analyst, pen tester get automated and disappear soon? Okay, this is such a good question. So for that question, think of it this way. I mentioned earlier that automation plays a role, but then the human mind also plays another role. So let me give you an example. NIST has a framework for AI. So who is going to be checking that employees of that organization are complying? You can't use AI to checkmate AI. There's always a human component to it. Because human reasoning, you're able to look at false positives, you're able to, flag some identifiers, you're able to improve on some of these processes. So will it go away? I do not think so. But what is more important for you to focus on is how to leverage AI to be better at what you do. And of course, these roles they already use technology. So as a pen tester, you must know your Linux too, right? You must know some scripts. You must know, when you look at the process of penetration testing, from reconnaissance to scanning or vulnerability management up until exploitation. So think from the perspective of how can I be better at doing what I do? How can I leverage AI? How can I leverage automation to be more efficient and more effective? So whether I would disappear soon, I do not think so. Remember that as a pen tester, what is your job? You want to simulate attacks to find out how difficult or how easy it would be for bad actors to bypass all of those security tools and controls you've put in place. So it's a human leveraging technology. From a technical recruiter standpoint, what differentiates one entry-level candidate from another? I think my speakers have also done justice to this. Do you have a one-on-one chat like Calendly? Yes, I do. So in the chat, if you go to my website, there's a link in there where you can book a one-on-one to have a conversation with me. I have a free 15-minute conversation that we can just talk about maybe your career pathways, your options, So definitely, yes, I have that. Or you can message me via LinkedIn. Okay, as they say, all good things must come to an end. I think I've run out of steam and I actually have a class today, 2 to 3. So we'll need to wrap this up. But then as always, the truth is, if we stay here for 24 hours, you're not going to cover all of your questions. So what I would definitely say to you is, for all of the speakers that have spoken here, for me, I've put in our details in the chat. I would have my team also put in maybe the link if you want to reach out, maybe via website, via LinkedIn, or if you follow us, via social media platforms. I will go back to that slide. There's a lot of talk elsewhere of accessing hidden job market. What are the resources you can share? This is a fantastic question, and I love it. Hidden job markets. The truth is, a lot of roles might not even make it to the internet. Or for some roles that make it to the internet, they might already even have some internal people that are considering. And that is when networking comes into play. That is also, Noel said something about crafting something, a nice email, or maybe via LinkedIn, reaching out to the recruiter. That's also one thing. When you develop relationships with recruiters, they're going to keep you in mind. So when they have any job opening, they're going to give you heads up. When you also fill your LinkedIn profile with keywords, you make your LinkedIn so good that recruiters reach out to you. For example, most of the roles I've done since I moved to this part of the world, I've been headhunted, right? So if you have a LinkedIn profile and recruiters are not reaching out to you, telling you, oh, I came across your profile, I think this would be a good fit for you, then it means that your LinkedIn profile is not yet optimized. So in terms of hitting job markets, that is massive. Things happen within the industry, and that is when networking comes into play. Also, being strategic. You'll notice that on LinkedIn, people post, things around cybersecurity. When you take any trainings, any boot camps, be intentional. Go write up something value adding. That it might even be the basis why the recruiter will reach out to you. Wow, I don't think these questions will end. But what I would definitely say is you can definitely reach out to me after this call. We're about 25 minutes over 1 p.m. I'm just going to see, would there be recording for this program? I believe so. It will be posted on our YouTube channel, but it will be for a limited time. So about maybe 48 hours before access will be taken down. Does your program help in getting certified in any well-known cybersecurity system? Definitely. Because as someone in the industry, as a hiring manager, as a cybersecurity expert, one way to stand out is through certifications. So we also provide certification prep materials for our students, cutting across CC, CISM, CISA, and Security Plus. At the minimum, these 4. And we also have study groups to sort of encourage, motivate you, follow up with you to make sure that you actually, complete one of these certifications. You need to have it on your resume. Even if you don't have the certification just yet, you can have it as in progress, just as Noel mentioned. So that if the ATS is scanning your resume and searching for maybe those certifications, at the minimum, it would find one because it's always one or more certifications. In fact, in the last 1 week, 3 of our students have passed CISM. So you noticed when I was recommending, I said in my experience with mentoring people, CISM is one of the easy ones that people pass. However, you do need some years of experience before you can activate that certification. The questions just keep rolling in. I think we'll really have to call it a day. So what I would say is reach out via all these other platforms. A few questions I did say I was going to go back to the slide. So if you still have more questions and these 2 hours is not enough, you can follow me via Instagram. It's Winfinite IT Consulting. You can subscribe to our weekly newsletters via our website. And our website is in the chat, winfiniteconsulting.com. On YouTube, we have a channel. It is Winfinite IT Consulting. Okay. And one other question, one more slide before we go. So before you sign out today, I want you to give feedback on the masterclass. This would help us prepare for our next masterclass. So what did you take away from this masterclass and what's your feedback? What's your takeaway? What are you going to be doing differently after this conversation? Have you learned anything at all? If yes, please post it on Slido. And if you don't have access to Slido, you can actually put it in the chat.